Well, ladies and gentlemen, I took time out of my day bringing managed democracy to a bunch of filthy bugs. So I want to talk about the Act Man again because he responded to him getting called out, and in typical Weasel streamer fashion, he's trying to walk it back. He invited Heels versus Babyface on his show. Hey, man, let's talk about it. I didn't know what was going on at the time. You didn't care to know. You didn't care to know because, like many of the goons who were streamers, you were more interested in making fun of somebody that you thought was an easy target. You took an opportunity when you saw a bunch of your friends, a bunch of fellow streamers, ripping on somebody, going, oh, wokeness again, am I right? These, alt-right crazy people talking about their wokeness in video games. Nuts. The reality is that this industry has been going through a metamorphosis for years. Anyone paying attention would be able to see it. And again, I mentioned it's never one thing. Oh, what's the big deal about pronouns in video games? It's a huge deal. It's disgusting. The ideology behind it, the cult like fervor mentality behind it, is a huge problem. We don't want it anywhere near video games. We don't want it near Hollywood. We don't want it near comic books. We want it as far away because it's a repugnant, unenlightened, dark ages medieval ideology that is primarily filled with some of the most detestable, racist, sexist, bigoted, low IQ, and let's get honest here, pedophilic individuals that we've ever seen. These people are absolute freaks. Asmongold is absolutely right. These people are freaks. But they've been freaks for a while. And people like myself and others have been calling them out. And we have not only had corporations and entire industries treat us like garbage, we've also had fellow content creators. Because at the time it wasn't chic, it wasn't trendy. So the Act Man really wasn't going to do any research on his own. Because if he had done a modicum of research on this before running his mouth, trying to tear somebody down for their opinion, if he had done that, he wouldn't be now eating a giant shit sandwich. So he can try to walk it back if he wants, but I think that people are waking up to the fact that these streamers, they're frauds, they're fakes. They are unintelligent losers that have been given a gift beyond what they deserve. An audience that's willing to listen to them because maybe there was one moment where they came across as authentic, or they knew the right people and they could create the right marketing, the right buzz to get these people in the limelight. But when you strip all of that away, when you look at these people who they truly are, they are genuinely the worst people in the world. And ironically, they have the easiest job in the world to ever exist in the whole of human nature. Being a streamer, being a content creator, there's nothing easier. There's nothing easier than that. Choosing when you wake up, choosing what you talk about, choosing if you want to eat or drink, like in the middle of the day, if you want to do it on stream, what you want to eat and drink, what you want to wear. Hey guys, you know what? I'm a little tired today. I'm going to stop the stream early, go and take a 2-hour nap, come back. Hey guys, I'm back. It is the easiest job in the world. And why am I saying that? Because a lot of this stuff is based around people that have never actually worked a hard day's work. They've never had a job that's in any way remotely difficult. And the way that manifests is in this elitist attitude. That they look down on blue-collar people. They look down on people who have actually done labor. They virtue signal that they don't, but they do. And that comes out when somebody is too passionate, they're too enthusiastic, they care too much about a topic, then all of a sudden they need to be torn down a peg. Because this douchebag and his friends decided that they were going to have a good laugh at these silly people who believe in wokeness, that it's a problem, that it's infecting the industry. It's been infecting the industry for over a decade. Now, Sweet Baby Inc. is not the first monster that's been slain, and it's certainly not going to be the last. There are going to be other malformed abominations that creep forward in the name of this cult, in the name of this ideology. And at that time, we're going to have to call it out too. Because for some of us, we want to leave good quality entertainment to our kids, to our family. We want to take the system that was given to us and pass it on in terms of what we got to enjoy. When I was growing up, it was the golden age of entertainment. People were allowed to try things. Like, I'll give you an example. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. There's no way that would get made today. There's no chance it would get made today. This out of nowhere idea? You mean to tell me that these turtles are part of, some experiment? They got radioactive goo on them, and they turn into like humanoid turtles that can do ninjutsu, and there's a rat that teaches. No one would greenlight it today. But back then, you had this Wild West approach to entertainment. There was this freedom, this liberation that has been lost as studios have become more and more monopolized, as power has pretty much crystallized around a couple large companies. The creative spirit has been crushed, and unfortunately, a lot of these woke people have been brought in to quote-unquote sanitize the product so that it's more appealing for a mass audience. But ironically, they're bringing in radical people. Left-wing people are radical. They're delusional. They're spiteful, hateful, malevolent. They're creeps. And so people generally don't like what they're doing. And so they've called it out for years. But again, I reiterate that it's not only been corporations and the media that have been dogging on fans for years. It has also been people like the Act Man. It's been people in the streaming community, content creation community, that basically thought less of the people who actually cared about stuff. So they tried to disparage them. There is no way that the Act Man can justify calling this guy like a man-shaped gorilla or whatever pejorative, or he needs to be hit with a bear tranquilizer. There's no way he can justify it. There's no way you can justify it. If he had just come out and said, look, I was in the heat of the moment, all my friends were making fun of this guy, so I jumped on board because I don't really have the balls to be a man on my own. I don't have the brain to be an independent thinker. I'm just a clown. I'm just a loser who makes content for people to agree with me. I saw this guy getting made fun of. He's kind of odd looking. A little bit overweight, and I thought it was perfectly okay. Everyone else was doing it. I would have more respect for him if he did that. Not that I have any respect for him, but I would have more respect if he did that, as opposed to what he tried to do, which is, well, I didn't know about this back then. Whose fault is that? You were ignorant back then, so you made an asinine, malicious comment to this guy who was talking about the issue, and now you're choosing to try to walk it back because you got humiliated, because the problem is real, and instead of doing the research at the time and being like, wow, there is something to this. Because in 2018, Sweet Baby Inc. was still working with companies. But again, it's not just about Sweet Baby Inc. It's about the left-wing indoctrination. It's about the left-wing orthodoxy, left-wing praxis, this woke cult of delusional, mentally ill losers who are a major, major problem to any industry that they get involved in. So the fact that you were ignorant, the fact that you didn't know is not an excuse. You chose to attack somebody without knowing the details of what you were attacking them on. You just simply were noticing the fact that he looked like a man-shaped gorilla and that he was really, really enthusiastic about something, so he should be tranquilizer darted. That's your brain. That's what you think. And you have the fucking gall to come and try to pretend like you have any sort of moral clarity? Dude, you're a fucking clown. You and other streamers, your immoral jokes. You don't have the ability to stand in front of anyone and say, I'm better than this guy. Because Heels versus Babyface, whatever you want to say about him, whatever you think of his character, I don't know. I don't watch much of his content. I've seen a bunch of clips online. I've seen that particular clip. Whatever you want to say about him, I don't know. I don't care. At the end of the day, you are judged by what you say, what you do, how you act, and how that is perceived. You chose to engage in personal attacks and insults, having no basis to do so, because you were genuinely too ignorant to know the details of the situation. Now, what you should have done today, instead of coming out with some smarmy, smug, douchebag response, you should have just outright sincerely made a video apologizing. You should have said, look, there is no excuse. I insulted the way this man looked. That wasn't right. I thought he was, over the top. All my friends were telling me that. I don't know, I guess I was in a different headspace, but now that I see the problem, I'm going to call it out. And, Heels versus Babyface, I apologize sincerely. That's what you should have done. You should have shown some remorse and contrition and admitted that you were wrong, but you don't have that because you're a narcissist. You're an egotist. You're a douchebag. You're a clown. You're a buffoon. You're somebody that clearly speaks without knowing the details. And I'm not as generous as this guy is. Because I would not have been as graceful as he was on social media in dealing with somebody like you. Because you don't deserve it. You have an opportunity to talk about an important issue to a lot of people, a lot of gamers, and instead, you rip on this guy. And this wasn't even that long ago. This was in September of 23. You haven't had some big epiphany. You've just been exposed and humiliated, and you don't like it, so you're trying to backpedal, but the answer is no. People are going to remember the Ackman as this slithering, slimy, beta cuck coward that when they had the moment to back somebody who was right, you chose to do what all of the worst people in the world do. Try to attack and tear somebody down. Because your friends were doing it. Your friends. Like Hassan. Hassan. This is a tangential point. Let me just explain something. Most critical, I could take him or leave him. I mean, I know he did that video where he called me a racist and stuff. I chalk that up to being, streamer brained. That he doesn't have the ability to cognitively reason things out, have a conversation. He just melts down like a giant toddler, which is what you would be if you were, 5'6". He pooped in his pants and had a tantrum. Fine. That's par for the course of being on the internet. There are going to be people who react badly. I don't begrudge him that. I think overall he's just fine. But somebody like Hassan is genuinely one of the most vile, reprehensible people I've ever seen. And there are people who do collabs with Hassan within that streaming space, which should tell you everything you need to know about them. That they have no principles, they have no morals, and just like somebody from Hollywood trying to virtue signal to you, you should look at them and just laugh. Kind of like Ricky Gervais at the Golden Globes, saying, you know nothing about the real world. You have no right to lecture the public about anything. It's like you're making fun of, making fun of them for Apple, Amazon, Disney. If ISIS started a streaming service, you'd all call your agent. It's like, yeah, that's Hassan. Hassan is that equivalent within the streaming space. He is genuinely repugnant in every single way. Talk about a terrorist sympathizer, somebody that's just repugnantly stupid, wrong, probably several generations inbred, although I can't prove that. It just seems likely with the anger and the stupidity and, the shrunken head, like he's some kind of like voodoo doll. it is quite staggering to watch the echo chamber and the ecosystem of streamers, and I don't think I could ever be part of it. Not before this, not after this. I want no part of it because it's just so fake and phony and disingenuous, and people speaking without knowing, and then not having the balls to apologize and say, "I'm sorry. What I did was wrong." The Act Man should have done like a 15-minute video with just pure contrition. Dude, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I acted like I was a bully in high school. I made fun of the way you looked. I completely disregarded what you were saying based on nothing. Based on the fact that my friends were doing it. So, here's what I'll end with, and I'm not going to do another video on this unless something really interesting happens. My invitation is to Heels versus Babyface. I've been told his name is Az, but I haven't confirmed that. So, Heels versus Babyface. My invitation to you is if you ever want to come on my channel and talk about this sort of reaction, you're welcome to. I don't think you will. My channel is relatively niche and small. We're growing, growing faster than I would have imagined. Over the past month, we've gotten over 100 subscribers. I think that's pretty incredible. So, what I will say in conclusion is this. I think that people have a due diligence to themselves, and if they're consecrated to their brand, to do better in terms of vetting things, in terms of making an effort to actually be a decent human being when it comes to having this conversation. I don't think there's anything wrong with calling somebody out or even making fun of them. But if you're going to do that, you don't back down or change your mind on a whim because it makes me look bad. You stick by what you said. You stand by your convictions. That's really how I see it. This guy thought he was right. He thought he was right to the point where he called this guy, Heels versus Babyface, he called him a man-shaped gorilla or something. And because he was passionate and frustrated, that he deserved to be tranquilized. There's really no excuse for that. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate you watching. I appreciate you listening. And I'll see you next time.